washing station. It's amazing. I'm like, yeah, man. Just when you arrive, look at this.
I am proud of like what we've accomplished just in general in our 8 years here. I do encourage new farmers, if you can't afford staff, just get used to that, like having people work with you. It encourages you to have accountability and learn how to manage people. You're doing amazing! Look how good these beds look. I know a lot of people talk about build as big as possible.
Yep.
We thought 10 by 10 was that.
Should be enough.
But then, but things grow and change.
Whoa, look at that.
Yeah, there you go. That's the guinea.
Oh my God, they're so funny. I want one. How are you, Luke?
Good. How are you?
Good to see you. Good to meet you. So guys, well, welcome to Terramor Farm.
Yeah.
We're in
Burnstown.
All right, so let's go.
Okay, so we're gonna take you on a little tour here.
I mean, just when you arrive, look at this.
A little piece of heaven.
A little piece of heaven.
Okay, so here we are. Yeah, the crew's already working. Welcome. It's a busy day. We're planting for fall. So maybe not even the funnest day of bed prep because these are beds that we had to flip from the spring. So there's a lot of debris, things to remove, some of the sort of more labor intensive beds that we're gonna be flipping today. But we're hoping to get 16 beds flipped and planted for fall planting. So
big day, eh?
Yeah. But we're gonna start with a little farm tour and we'll probably make it up there, I guess.
Absolutely. So what is one of the things you're most proud of when you just arrive at your farm?
Right now?
Yeah.
Right here?
Yeah.
I guess, well, the wash station's probably one of the nicest things, like aesthetically. But I am proud of like what we've accomplished just in general in our 8 years here.
I love that you said, what's the most proud? Like, it's amazingly beautiful. It's like the washing station. It's amazing. I'm like, yeah, man, yeah.
I don't know. Well, I mean, like to look at it's nice.
Yeah.
Like right now, it's, but no, like the yeah, you're right, everything.
Like it was like the flowers.
No, not the vegetables, not the flowers. Like where we pack them.
I love it.
No, but yeah. I mean, I am proud of what we've just accomplished here. It was a blank slate when we got here, and it's been a lot of baby steps. But you'll see, it's pretty good.
For how long have you been here?
This is our eighth season.
Okay. And you're from the town?
Yeah, well, 10 minutes from here. So we're in Burnstown, and I was raised in White Lake. So that's like 10 minutes that way, south.
Amazing.
Yeah. All right.
So that's the good stuff.
This is pretty nice.
It is nice.
So I guess we should get into
everything.
Yeah. Details about the wash
Yes.
station. Okay. Brand new this year, because if you look, I'll just bring you over here. This is the water from our home. So runs out, and we tied in this frost-free valve so we can run this in the spring and the fall. But we were basically operating on one hose, which is like anybody that, literally like up until this, one single hose. And then what we would do was we have another, like the coop. So if we ever had to wash totes and wash at the same time, we would run a separate hose with a pressure washer to just be able to have like some pressure to be able to wash. So yeah, that was very limiting.
And I mean, look at that. Like, tote cleaning instruction, really clean, displayed, and an eye flush bottle.
Yeah.
Emergency, you mean just in case, like everything's there.
Professional.
I love snakes, toads, and frogs.
That's John's quotes.
Love
we
it.
gotta keep those around.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, the major improvement, and something I probably should touch on, and the way we worked around that one hose issue, is now we have that one hose hooked into this 1,000-liter tank. We did this with Dubois. They helped us design and plan this.
Yep.
So the hose plugs in. It's on a float valve, so that's always on, and then it'll just turn off when it's full.
Yep.
So that's lovely. And then runs through this, out. We've got one outlet here that's just hooked to this hose for washing totes, which is excellent. And then ties off at a T here, we run out, across, and lastly down. And then that brings us to here, where now we can operate at full pressure 3 hoses at any given time. So we can be washing 2 tables and washing totes if we need to. And another factor that was crazy was that because this was on the same pump, we couldn't even wash vegetables and do the nursery at the same time because the pressure would go down. So we would have to be radioing so the amount that this has benefited, just like simplicity on the farm, we don't have to be conscious of whether we're watering the nursery at the time.
It's a game changer.
Yeah, huge game changer.
Oh my God.
And not even that expensive, really, to be honest. It was a little bit of planning and about a day of labor, and had to be planned on a day when we weren't in the wash station, but I'd say a big step. And then we could touch on these really quick, because this was something I was humming and hawing over for years. I think that we had this old table with the chicken wire, which is I think pretty common. And the next step in my mind would be the stainless steel option, but isn't always that economic. It's very expensive.
It is.
And so this is a great alternative. It's just a simple wooden table. These are floor mats. I think it's literally mats.
By fatigue mats, I think.
Yeah, we have them on the floor right here.
Exactly.
This is they're typically used in kitchens for sure.
You made that yourself. He's super
Anybody
can do it.
Yeah, afternoon of work,
smart.
and literally zip ties and some washers that hold it on.
I mean, I feel like my dad can build a house with these. Honestly, he's just put some ties.
I made the joke to the team red green was duct tape, and I'm zip ties Canadian icon.
Yeah.
I guess I could go over our wash line.
Every day.
So food comes in from the field here.
Yep.
90% of the time, sometimes the other end, but the goal is to mostly come in here and into the wash bins if we need.
Yep.
A quick dunk if they're roots, and onto the tables. If they're salad, they're just working down this line. The orange bins, I hope everyone's familiar with. If you're doing any large volume of salad, these are what you want. What you need. So into those. We don't yet have a bubbler, something that we're going to invest in, but it's just one step at a time. After they're done, boom, up onto here to just do a quick drip dry. We normally try to have 6 on cue, so that the goal is to never have the spinners stopping. So even if we're packing, anything like that, if we're doing salad, if you hear, this one's on a timer, and then these 2 are on switches. So if you hear this one die off, the engine die off, immediately the crew knows, come, turn the switches off, so that we can get the next load on.
That's really
because it can be a really limiting factor.
Of course.
It's the biggest limiting factor of the wash station if you get backed up on salad. So that's the goal, and that's why we have 3, because it just kept increasing the volume we were doing.
And they're matching.
They are matching. We buy them new because I just don't I think there is some, I don't want to knock people that maybe get them used, but I just wanted to be sure that they were 100% sanitary. So we just found a model that we knew how to do. And I don't do it fully myself. Not that this is a big variable, but I think it's something to be said about outsourcing the right things. So what I do is I break them down. So I take the thing off. I know the wires to cut. I do the cutting of the top. I put the tube on. And then I call my electrician, because she's amazing and she can source all the parts really easily. So then once I call her and say, hey, I got one ready, she comes and it's an hour that it's set up. So I've never learned that process, but I think it would have taken me a day.
Of course. And you need to know the right people around you, and it saves you so much time.
Yeah, we're very fortunate to have having grown up in this community. 10 minutes away, it has definitely benefited us. She knew my parents, so having an electrician that is she's really, really helpful, and on her days off, or if she has a spare morning, she'll pop in, and I kind of just text her okay, these are the things coming up, and she'll just kind of squeeze us in.
I have a small project.
Yeah, this one's good. This one's funny. This I was showing her this.
Yeah.
And we had another project that we were talking about, and I was oh yeah, this is amazing, blah, blah, blah. And she's well, how are you gonna hook that up? And I was because it's a 120 or 240, so it was a hard wire. I needed her to hook me up to get it to have a plug. So I was oh yeah, good thing you're here. I was planning on doing this today.
Of course.
So she did it for us. This was a hand-me-down, got this for free, so that's kind of nice. Stainless steel, but it's great for wash pack. We got sort of our just basic needs, and then we have something called the office where we have backup supplies, so we just try to keep an inventory of those. If we're low, crew lets me know. We do everything on drive this year, kind of off topic from this, but everything's on drive. So on Mondays, I just check what the shopping list is, because we used to have the whiteboard. But if I'm not remembering to take pictures on Monday when I'm doing my admin, I'm not always remembering, and it's like frustrating. Just that extra step of needing to come out, see what it is.
Of course.
So one minor thing, and we do lots on drive now, but this is one add-on, is I just hop on drive, see what I'm needing that week, and that's just ordered right away.
That's really smart. Good tip.
Yeah.
Leaderboard?
The leaderboard. Yeah, so we started that recently. So that's the top time for bagging large salad, top time for small salad, and top time for a zucchini harvest. So
Gamification.
yeah, it's fun. It wasn't even my idea, but like the crew kind of liked it, and I definitely think it's going to be good for morale and keeping people on pace and giving us an idea of like what the benchmarks are and stuff. So
Absolutely,
yeah.
that's smart.
And I'm really like proud and thankful for our crew. Like they're amazing, and the morale, like their culture is incredible, and they're doing stuff like this all the time. So it's like it makes the work fun. It
And
really
this
does.
morning, just the vibe was just incredible.
You could feel it?
Yeah.
That means a lot.
feel it.
Yeah.
Like everybody was like, they were shy, but they were like, okay, we have a big day.
Yeah.
When you say, okay, let's go, everybody was like,
Yeah.
doing what they knew what to do. It was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so this morning, that was amazing. Like all the water bottles there, all the coffee mugs, you're ready for a good day.
Yeah. For sure. This is sort of command center. I guess everyone has their own tote, like a storage area for their stuff. That's kind of nice. Just this is like central zone. The map is very helpful for new people.
Yep.
So I just drew out our map and then sent it to our friend that helps us with graphic design. She made it pretty and then got it printed on this stuff. So having something like that is just great for training people, or also just quick referencing. Then here we go. It's hard to like know how much detail to go into with this. But what I should almost do is get you guys our clipboards, because I know a lot of people use whiteboards, but we actually just started getting the harvest on a large whiteboard, because we operate off of harvest sheets.
Yep.
That then inform. These inform our whiteboard, but these are where the final check sheet, like the back end, the front end and the back end of everything that informs the whiteboard. So this is the market one that has our 3 markets, our target, our actual, and our leftovers. So this actually goes to market as well.
Yep.
This is our restaurants. So that's every single restaurant this week. There's like 20 or roughly, and all the products. So when it's finally packed, it just gets a dot. That's it. But this system has really helped us, because if we were operating just off of that, I think it would get a little bit complicated.
Of course.
Having this to go back to, we make very few errors, because it's just really simple for the person that's leading the wash pack to just like, it's not done until it has a dot, and there's only one person that's allowed to touch this sheet, and it's the person that's the head of the wash pack. Unless there's like a very solid, I am putting a dot next.
I'm doing it.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's really...
And then we have one for retail. So those are the 3 sort of sales avenues, and we have the same system for CSA.
Yep.
But like the dot system, but it's a little more simple.
And what's your system? Like every week you just create all of them, prepare them there?
Yeah, so this is actually something that I should share, because we struggled with earlier on, and we just changed this year, which is like our order cutoff is Sunday evenings.
Yep.
I send out the fresh list now on Fridays, which is a little bit more difficult, because like we had to get the confidence to be more predictive.
Yep.
Typically I wasn't comfortable sending out till the Monday the week of, because you don't really know what's going to happen. But now I haven't had any issues of like scarcity or anything. So sending it out the Friday before has allowed us to get the orders in by Sunday deadline. That means I can create the list for Monday. So all the lists are out Tuesday when we start our week.
That's amazing.
So I take in all the orders and make the lists and print them off. And then Bryn is the one who manages. So she takes all this information. She puts it onto the harvest board for the week. And then we plan from there.
do this.
I can help with that.
I was like, okay.
They do have, yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna put a dot.
Don't you dot anything.
Don't you dare.
Don't you dare do a dot.
So you wanna go there?
Let's go, yeah. So that's it.
Ron, it's time to go wherever you are.
Do you guys mind if I just take this little, there's
Take
a
your time.
radio for me.
No stress.
So we're on.
All right, so, couple,
We're on.
well on cue, Bryn. Yeah, this is the flower fridge / warm fridge. Oh, actually right now it's a cold fridge.
Yep.
We have the whiteboards, let me go back. We have the whiteboards to instruct sort of what they are at the time. So if it's Tom's, it's 50, but then during the week when we're full and we're overfilled right now for CSA and restaurant deliveries,
Yep.
so this temperature goes down to like 39. So then when these vegetables are out, over the weekend when we have a surplus of tomatoes, we will bring up the temperature so that it's suitable for like those hot crops like summer squash, tomatoes and peppers, eggplant, that stuff. So the overflow of that stuff can stay in here. But and also, I don't think flowers mind that higher temperature either.
The best is the lower.
Yeah.
The lowest is the best.
Oh, it's best? Okay, yeah. So
See
anyway,
your breath.
but then typically these are out on the weekend anyways.
Yeah.
So, but this extra fridge, or actually this was the original fridge, but we very quickly needed the second fridge. I know a lot of people talk about build as big as possible.
Yeah.
We thought 10 by 10 was that.
Should be enough.
But then, but things grow and
Enough.
change. Yeah, not enough.
After 2 months.
Yeah.
And how did you isolated everything and like it's pretty like you did a cool bot?
Coolbot system, yeah. So, yeah, both are the same. Again, this isn't my construction. I'm not a handyman. Definitely outsource that stuff.
Of course.
But then set up the Coolbot and the AC, and then that trusty electrician we spoke of, she comes and gives
Here's a
us
little
hand.
project for
Just
you.
another little project.
Again, this
So, yeah.
standard operation procedure. I love that about your place.
Oh, thank you.
It's like, this is important. We forgot about these things, but it's really important.
Yeah, and it's just like it comes to be second nature, but like it almost
For
gets
you?
taken for granted. But yeah, but
of course.
if anyone is just getting trained or forgets, it's having that in place.
Absolutely.
So like a good example is we added it this year for our cucumbers. Like the difference of the two, like poniente, like the mini cukes versus the English cukes, right at the head of the bed. So because we were seeing some issues with the pruning, and you have to just immediately, like if you're seeing those issues, just implement that system right away. It's like at the head of that bed, it just says exactly how it's done so that every person, there's no miscommunication.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, it's the same fridge, but yeah, we use the, this one's more full. Yeah. Little storage here for our seeds and amendments and things that prefer lower temperature. So that's an additional nice thing.
Yeah.
And most of this is going out today, restaurant deliveries and the last of the CSA, and then markets here behind me. And then we use the whiteboard to be sure that people know what goes where. So, and that, one thing we realized about systems was that this was the idea of one of an older like staff manager.
Yeah.
And the issue was we were always trying to standardize the system, have it be standard. But what was a learning experience for me, her suggestion was, since it can't be standard, why don't we make a system that allows for it to be fluid? So that's like that was an eye-opening sort of thought. So now we have, it is not standard, but that is the standard. Do you know what I mean? And that's kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a nice mind frame. So this always changes, or if it has to change, it can. But everyone
So
now.
I don't know if you see well, but like this is the walls of the cold room.
Yeah.
And like that's like it's really easy to understand.
So bulk, anything bulk is here, market here, retail here, restos here. And then if something changes, like when restos go out, someone can just like remove that. If we have to fill up with something else, they just write what it is.
It's
at
just
that time.
dumb proof. Even me, I understand like this.
Yeah.
Eat beer.
Yeah. Well, we could talk about the barn. I don't know anything about it. I know that it's an old barn. All I can say is that if you look up, it's absolutely stunning. The beams are wild. But what I can say about a big barn like this and how thankful I am for it is just starting out, no matter what, you need way more storage than you think you do.
Of course, yeah.
I can, like, if we had to build something like this, it would be wild.
And you have room for, oh, I want to do this. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like this.
Oh yeah, we should show, this little flower corner. So having this space for this flower corner is phenomenal. And it's sort of version 1.0, but now just the fact that Dana and Louise have a committed area we have a little bit of drying happening, and it's just permanently set up with her tools, the things she needs. And last year we were just kind of setting up a flower station on the fly, but again, as things grow and develop, you need to set up better systems. So now we have something in place here, and I think it'll continue to improve.
Amazing.
And on that topic, just the storage, the barn, like the space.
Like there are tomatoes.
Tomatoes here. We don't need to look at the trash pile, but it's there. Most of the tools are out right now because they're doing so much bed prep, so that might be why it looks half decent in here. But an intention of ours is to get some of these tools up off the ground at some point and improve this storage area a little bit. But it is nice to just have this space in general. Some of the tools we have, we could run you through. A couple of wheel hoes. This is our first wheel hoe, the Haas. It's decent. I'm sure many people know that one.
Classic.
Yeah, it's classic. But I love the TerraTech because of its ergonomic design. You can see how much further back the oscillating piece is, so that allows you to put more forward motion. This one you feel like you're pushing down unless you're very tall.
Of course, it's
Have
hard.
you been
It's hard
doing
to
double up on the tools? Have you been getting fancy at all? Or
Yes, yes. No, we have the dual, and I use the sweeps with the discs is our little dream team. These discs I took off the inner disc. I don't know if you guys did that but what I found was they were just cutting everything. So I took them, there's an inner disc typically on here, and I took that out. And then these with this is a very nice combination. These are getting the out of row weeds, like the between the rows. These are getting all of that. And then these at the same time are throwing dirt, especially if you get a nice flow of like the way you're pushing, and you got to kind of dial it in. But then these are throwing dirt into the in-row weeds, hopefully getting them covered so that they're dead.
Smart.
But it's all about timing. It's like, it's easier said than done sometimes, but the BCS is out in the field. For that, I would love to get a power harrow one day, but for the price, I've just found for us, just holding the tiller up a little higher is like a decent enough option. So the things that we have, I may one day get it if I'm feeling rich, but the mower, I don't know if I'd say is a must.
the flail mower?
Yeah, we love the flail mower, but like for starting farmers, if they have a BCS, you can totally get by with like a push mower. And like sometimes I bust out our push mower and a whippersnipper, like people are doing that, and I'm like, for the price of this. But sometimes this really comes in handy if you have to take down some bigger stuff. But I'm thankful for it. But for starting farmers, like I just bought it without thinking because I was like, oh, need that. I don't know if I would advise every starting farmer to go straight for that.
Good tip.
Yeah, hope that helps somebody. What else we got? Backpack sprayer is pretty clutch if you need to apply like insecticidal soap or also amendments, things like that. Earthway seeder. We like for beans. We used to do peas. We don't do peas anymore. But just beans alone, this baby is great.
And why the peas is done?
We just did not find that we could grow them very well. Like I've seen people have success growing them in tunnels and stuff. Like I see the people that are having success maybe are doing that. But like even just our germination and like their growth, the yields for the amount of energy they were taking, they were not a top crop for us. So we just this year just started to be a little more, in the past few years we've been a little more cutthroat with what we're doing.
Of course.
These are our patterns for our, these are important. It looks like just a piece of wood, but this is important. These are our patterns for our burning and landscape fabric. And so we have different patterns on the same pieces, and those are clutch. What else we got? I love this thing. Lee Valley adjustable rake.
Oh.
The reason I love it is because on this setting it becomes kind of like a hard rake, and it's great for aisles. And then,
I got stuck.
oh, okay, I'm not doing that today.
Oh, okay, so it's all right, it's all right.
Oh yeah, there we go. No pressure, no pressure.
That's cool.
Then you get to a little bit of like, if you're like doing raking, and I know like, we're not huge on it, but if you're those people that are doing cut greens, things like that, this is probably a great tool because then you can get your different settings like that. Like, or we do cut greens, but we're not super meticulous, but I know some people have the time and it's worth it for them to clean the bed after each. And maybe we'll be doing that now that we're trying to get into some more winter growing. So,
That baby.
the two bad cats, tine weeder. This is pretty clutch for direct seeded crops. So carrots for sure. And then in the spring, we don't really do much direct seeded greens in the summer. We just get a little bit too busy. But in the spring, when we're doing like baby kale, arugula, this guy comes in handy. Oh, and we plant radish and turnip every 2 weeks. So they're getting that too. So it's kind of in the schedule when we can. I say it's in the schedule. Sometimes that gets skipped because they grow so fast. Sometimes you can get away with letting it go. Yeah, back to the sort of needing lots of space, all of the market stuff, because we have 3 markets, but they're all on different days. So luckily we don't have like too much overstock of market stuff, but still it takes up a lot of space. So we have our tables, some supplies, and then Louise runs the markets. So she has, oh yeah, I like our sign. It's a work in progress, but.
Oh, nice.
So this is version 1.0, but I write really poorly, and we used to have a whiteboard, so it would look like we have this business that we're trying to portray as professional, and then my writing looked terrible.
What are you guys selling?
So this is nice. It kind of got beat up this year. This is only 1 year, so we're gonna try to get a different product, but having the combination of just like it done in advance, and then some way of we use tape, but it unfortunately peeled off. But like some way of like marking what's available and unavailable. It's a work in progress, but I think this is a good step. And yeah, Louise runs the market, so she just makes sure we're stocked for all of the markets. So we have the totes for the markets with like labeled like bags, pints. So that's a smaller market. I think that's just Burnstown. So that's just a very small market. Anyway,
everything is labeled again, super clear. Like, well done.
Oh, thank you. This is where we have our pump switch. So doesn't look like much, but it's kind of important because we just automated our main pump switch with Orisha, and we'll get up into the greenhouses to show how this is important, and it ties into how we automate our greenhouses as well, because we needed a way to automate our greenhouses separate from our field irrigation. So we have, again, a tank system with a pump and automation to allow us to run them and irrigate to a schedule in the greenhouses that doesn't necessarily have to match our field irrigation. Because in the past, we had to be turning on the field pumps to irrigate the greenhouses, which is like a lot of work to try to like irrigate tomatoes properly without automating. So this all ties in, but having this on it, basically we can just go on in the morning, and if say the cloud cover, and then of 3 options, cloudy, partially, or fully sunny, and then that's automated to know what times and what durations we're going to irrigate for. And then Cal, our irrigation manager, she has her timers set, and she's also the one that selects the cloud cover for that day. We have it on manual, and then she has a timer set to know when to go out and adjust the valves.
And the app is really simple to use.
The app is extremely simple to use, yeah. So I got her login, so we share the login, and she can just operate it all from her phone. Fortunately, part of getting Orisha, we needed to get Wi-Fi out to the greenhouse.
Yeah.
So that allows us to now have Wi-Fi for the staff, which is really clutch, because Bryn, like we said, we have a lot of things on Drive. So Bryn operating and the team, they can all access the Wi-Fi, and we encourage our team to use their phones and like we have trust.
Podcast.
Yeah.
Have you listened to that podcast, Market Gardener podcast?
Do they encourage people to?
I mean, it's really good.
I'm looking forward to it.
Nice truck.
Oh, thank you.
So how many delivery truck do you have? Like,
Just one.
Just one? But like, nice one.
The year of COVID, we were this is a good testament to like pinch decisions. Pinch decisions. We had like just got a trailer hitch put on our gold van, like our family van, and we were gonna we were like, okay, we can't do it with the gold van anymore. We need a trailer, so we had a trailer. And it was just during COVID, so we had like.
But you had a trailer with the, like cold system in it?
No. And not a covered trailer. Like we were just gonna like haul. No, it was a terrible idea.
Yeah. So with the horse.
It was like it was the Sunday before, and I looked at Dana and I was like, "This is not going to work." Like, oh, B-roll now. We're B-rolling. What were we talking? I don't even remember.
Garlic.
Oh, the
trailer and
the trailer. Yeah. The pinch decision. So yeah, should we keep rolling?
Yeah.
So that Sunday, I literally said delivery. First CSA delivery was Thursday, like restaurant slash CSA was Thursday. Sunday, we looked at like how many restaurant deliveries we were gonna have to do, how many CSA members we had, because it was COVID. They had gone, I think we had 120 members that year.
My God.
The most we had ever had. And we just looked at each other, we're not gonna be able to do that. So that Monday we went and like shopping for this truck and purchased it on picked it up on Wednesday.
Oh my God.
The turnover on the decision was pretty incredible, and then used it on Thursday.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was so we didn't, and that's like sometimes what you have to do. Like it's just funny how like you just get put in these situations and you have to make it quick. It's fun.
And how do you feel about it now?
I love it.
I mean,
It makes me feel. It was our first big purchase like that, I think, aside from like greenhouses and stuff. It made us feel pretty professional.
Of course, it looks professional.
So yeah, we have some pride in that van, I'd say. But yeah, and it's clutch. You need it. We needed it. Like we needed it, and so where are we off to? When Dana and I met was, of course, I wanted to show her my parents' property. It's outside of the city, and they have beautiful gardens and kind of like a homestead vibe. So we went and I showed her the farm work, and when we were working in restaurants in the city at the time. So we became really infatuated with just taking those days out from the city to work in the soil, and we were aware of like a CSA program and what that was. So we approached my dad and said, hey, like we have all these vegetables, we have friends in the city, why don't we sell some? So we had like a little text list that we would send our friends, and we would just sell baskets of food and split the money with my dad. And really quickly that number grew from like 5 to 20 people. And then this coincided with a very serendipitous moment where I was at work at the Whale's Bone and I saw a book called The Market Gardener on the shelf. It was wild, like pulled it down, and in the front, Jean-Martin Fortier had like written to the chef of the time, her name was Chloe, and I assume maybe he had been there or something, but right on the front it says like how to make $100,000 on an acre, and I'm just blown away. So I bring it home, show it to Dana, I'm like, we have to do this. I never really thought you could make a living growing vegetables. Having been brought up on like sort of a homesteady thing, we didn't really think of it as a career. And I certainly didn't think I even wanted it as my career, to be honest. But Dana like loved the idea. So that next year we decided to lease land from my father and do everything based on the book, and it took off from there. Very quickly we realized that like we wouldn't be able to expand at my parents', adding permanent infrastructure when there was so much uncertainty around it. And what may come to a shock to some people is working at your parents' farm isn't always the best. There were definitely some like roadblocks there too. So we very quickly that year shifted gears and wanted to purchase a place, and like cold calling financiers and trying to figure that out was not very promising because we were both from the serving background, and it's a catch-22 because you need a salary job to like show the bank you can repay. But anyways, super serendipitously, we were out for dinner with friends and sitting next to these new friends She said, you should speak to my mother. She's a mortgage broker at the Bank of Montreal, which specializes in agricultural loans. And we said, oh, yeah, okay. Spoke to her, went in, and she's like, yeah, you guys could definitely get a mortgage through the Canadian Agricultural Loans Act. It'll be a commercial mortgage, but you can totally do that. And Dana and I's jaws were like, what, is this real? So we came out of that meeting, like, that was the moment. We were blown away. And then we shifted gears, like Dana became the primary farmer and I wrote a business plan. Plus we still had our full-time jobs in the city. Like we were commuting in, so we were farming at my parents', commuting into the city to bankroll ourselves and then business planning. And we bought a farm, this farm, October 29th, 2016. We have 3 fully committed flower plots. This is called the pond garden because the pond is behind it.
Yeah.
So that
The pond, was it there when you arrived?
We had that dug.
Okay.
That's another cool pinch decision. Dana like urged me to go to the neighbor's house that was under construction and pull up on this guy that's in a like giant like excavator and just basically cold call, like ask him if he'd drive down. And he said he couldn't work that, like for some reason they didn't have the permit to start the work that Friday. It was just another serendipitous thing. So he had the Friday free. So he came down literally that Friday. It was like a week after we got this place and just dug that pond in one day. I just handed him like some cash and he just drove back the same day. Yeah.
Sometimes it can be easy.
No, yeah, because like
can be
imagine the
easy.
cost of floating in. It wasn't a small excavator. It was like those big ones. Like
to transport it.
just to
Yeah,
float
it's
that in is
super
huge. We saved tons of money just on that.
Wow.
So, and I was kind of nervous and Dana's like, you have to, like this is our chance. And I was like, oh.
But I like the way that you just don't overthink it. It's just like, we need it. Let's, like sometimes some of the things you really need to like wrap your head around it. But like these things, you're gonna need it.
Yeah.
Like this, it was like, at that moment, it was like.
You can't overthink it.
Exactly.
But we do say good big decisions. That's one thing like Dana and I like it's a quote that we repeat, like good big decisions. Spend time on them.
And we were looking at these this morning. Like, how do you make these? Because you make these.
Yes. On the old wash station table, I just kind of measured out some markers and put screws in certain points.
Yep.
And then sort of you just mark the middle of it and where you want to do the bend, and then we just kind of mathed it a bit to get it to the 30-inch bed.
And like that's a really smart system because you just like
we slide this over top. It's not, you can get these pretty affordably, and the reason we chose to do this rather than wood is that we're gonna have to put it over the conduit, or what are these called? Not conduit.
like rods.
Rebar. So yeah, this is the conduit. So the conduit goes over the rebar, and it's just for safety, just as much.
Yes.
And then they serve a dual purpose. If we ever needed to have mini tunnels, we just add the string in the washer, and then get the plastic, and we've got the dual purpose. So it was just sort of a 6 in one, half dozen in the other situation of like what we were going to use for posts for these, and we thought use the dual purpose option.
And what Louise was telling me is now like you just put nets on all the beds for flowers.
Yeah.
And that's a really good tip because like, I mean, the work to put every one of them in the holes, it's just like crazy work.
Yeah.
You put it like this and
it makes it simple too, because we used to be really conscious of in the crop plan for the flowers, what needed netting, what didn't need netting, and the more, especially with a complicated crop plan like flowers, the more variables you add, the more complicated it gets. So just eliminating any variable helps. So netting on everything is just a really nice idea that just makes it so much easier on our brains. So props, Louise.
chicken barn.
Chicken barn. You want to see it?
Yeah.
Okay. A little chicken barn. And that brings us over to the pond too. Okay, so yeah, this is where we have the coop. We have like some storage, tool storage in there, and a room called the plastics room. So obviously that's all like trays, paper pot trays. It's just not enough space for all of it in the nursery.
Yep.
And it's just nice to have a location to stuff it all in the off season. We have like similar to what I said about the wash station with the office. It's like this is the backup supplies. We keep a stack of like 128s, paper pots, and 72s in there. But like 6-inch pots and stuff all go in this plastics room in here.
Amazing.
Yeah, the pond is over here. And our chicken coop. So they're out. We used to let them free range, but we were running into some troubles with like attracting predators and things like that. I don't know why they're not out right now, but.
Like, do you sell the eggs?
We only have like 20 birds.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we have 2 guineas. They're funny. John loves them. They're loud and he likes to mimic them. There you go. That's our first irrigation, 10 o'clock.
Like, did you install this all by yourself?
Yeah. I had some help with running the electrical. And I had some help pouring in a concrete pad because at that point I didn't know how to create a form to pour concrete. So that sits on a little concrete pad. And then of course, homies at Dubois. Homies at Dubois helping us set the whole thing up. Like, but yeah, we've had this filter for years, like 10 years when we farmed at my parents' property. They had a pond and we ran it off a gas pump.
Yep.
And then switching to electrical pump was a huge upgrade. Sometimes we gotta clean the filter, but more so when the pond gets low.
And do you have like problem for the water sometimes? Like, does it get like super low? And
Yes, yeah, like this is the first year we haven't had to be stressed about it. Normally by August, it's very low. So then you're cleaning the filter weekly, and we've had like some years where we were dangerously close to not being able to irrigate. And sort of like watching our irrigations. This year we can just go.
because I feel like, do you do, like if you had to do it again, would you like change the way to do it?
Or make the pond bigger?
Yeah. I still want to make the pond bigger. I think we could just like, we could easily in the off season pull in an excavator and just kind of, I would just pull this back. I would probably double the size.
Yeah.
And in the winter it makes a good rink. So double the size, double the rink.
I mean, Canadians.
Yeah. We got electrical right
love
here.
our eyes.
Don't you see the spot for the lights in the future?
I mean, not a small project. Whoa.
That's the guineas.
Yeah, I love. Oh my God.
Okay.
Listen to the sound. We haven't get to the fields yet, but it's coming. Whoa! Look at that.
There you go. That's the guinea.
Oh my God, they're so funny. I want one. I was curious about, you told me this morning that you eat the house and the greenhouses with a wood system.
Outdoor, boiler, yeah.
Like, I would like to know a little bit more about that, and then maybe we can go check out the greenhouse.
Yeah.
Like, what's this patch?
This is a failed, you have to show everything. This is a failed project. So it's landscape fabric.
Yeah.
I tilled it up, I had a tarp here. We put in some perennial herbs. So it's like a partially failed project because
it's not that bad.
The sage is nice.
Of course.
Oregano always goes to bolt on us, but we get a little harvest off of it. Chives are good in the spring. And then we had thyme, which was, we just kind of let the weeds take over, and tarragon. So in the ideal world, I would try again. I just need to learn more about herbs and stay more on top of the weeding.
And we were talking about a little bit of chaos.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, that's a little bit of chaos, but it's still working.
It was a sample project.
Yes.
I think we learned, it's paid for itself in just what we've sold at market and to chefs. It wasn't a total loss, but it was just this half wasn't growing well anyway, so we let the weeds just take over. This half, decent. And we'll just see, we'll do another rendition someday. Beautiful. This is our outdoor, sort of in the summer when it gets really hot, our nursery, we just kind of move everything outside. Yep. So we just keep it tarped. This was our hardening off area in the spring, so plastic. And what's neat is we could experiment with shade cloth. I would love to just kind of keep it in place and just try to grow the salad under maybe a 30%. Toy with that idea.
But pretty simple, anyone can do it. Blocks, you just put 2x4 and that's it. With this little shade cloth, it's perfect.
Tarp on the ground to keep the weeds down. In the past when we didn't do that, it's hard to maintain. like you can cut around it, but then the grass coming up. I mean, that seems
Really
super simple
good,
and
but no.
logical, but like these little details matter.
Of course.
So if you're gonna move your seedlings outside, put something down first.
Good point.
It's kind of grown up, but we'll go over to the outdoor boiler because we know the man behind the lens is a wood guy. So this is our outdoor boiler. We go through a lot of wood, like 40 cord, 2 tandem loads per year. And the first way we ever heated a greenhouse, like our nursery, was actually off of this. It wouldn't be enough, I don't think, to heat an entire greenhouse, but when we had the plastic wall up. So we partitioned our nursery in the spring out of like our nearest greenhouse, Greenhouse 1. And this was our primary heat source. Now we've switched to propane, so this is a great backup.
Yeah.
So it just uses a radiant heater in there and with a blower, and it's just got a manual thermostat set to X amount, and if anything happens with Orisha and the propane or anything like that, this will kick on to save things.
Wow.
This is the 3rd farm I've visited that has a wood burner.
Yeah.
Crazy.
There's
It works.
Winnebago Ranch,
Yeah.
which is also in Ontario.
They use primarily that
I
though.
know.
That's pretty neat.
almost only. And
Or-
then we visited a place in Quebec, the same thing, like same story as Jamie at Winnebago.
What was their
The
just
boyfriend or
just has a lot of
worker.
access to wood, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's an
Like,
arborist, so he brings home wood like every week.
Oh, they're getting it for free.
Yes. But even then, I asked her, do you think it would worth it anyway if you had to buy it? She was like, yeah, of course.
That'd be different.
I don't know if but personally, I'm like, what's expensive?
Yeah,
You
of
have to
course.
buy all that wood.
But maybe she knows better than me.
But she was like, it's the best thing I bought
Cool.
on the farm.
Wow.
And yeah,
It was.
Wow.
She was like, it's super expensive, but it just
Yeah, I think
works
it's a
so
good
well.
investment. I think it's a good investment too,
Yeah.
for sure. And it'd be interesting to then go
And you
one
have-
step
you-
further.
Do you have access to grants to get them?
Quebec has way better grants than
Yeah, I
Ontario.
know that. She
I
had,
didn't
like, a
get
lot
any
of grants.
I didn't get any grants for that. But because it was nice that we could share some of the expense as like business and home.
Yeah, of course.
Because it was both. But it's a heat source for our home.
Now, nursery space.
Nursery space starts in the spring, like here, when we do our first planting, and then it almost every week just we just quickly move the wall. We just use clamps, and it just takes half an hour. It's not a big deal. Look forward to one day getting a committed nursery, hopefully sooner than later. But these bigger ticket items, we just have to be mindful of how we do them. I'm pretty proud of our very simple nursery planting space though.
That's perfect.
It's super ergonomic and like I say, very simple. We've got our soil in here. In the future, I'd actually like to cut this the next year. It's just one of those things that you've been thinking of that you haven't done, but I would like to cut this because this is just almost unnecessary space. If you look over, it's like, or if I can just show you, it's very deep. So people are like, if we just cut this down and then raise this up, so I'd like to have a stand for it. It's on wheels, but we don't really need to have it on wheels per se. I would just prefer to just cut this down and have it a little higher so people aren't working so hard to get the soil. But this is really nice. This is where we fill
Little
trays.
details though.
Yeah,
That's-
exactly. And it's just care for your staff. It's them that are breaking their anyway. This is cool because it catches all the soil. I had to do something like that because when it was just me and Dana, she was on me about my lack of cleanliness when I was filling trays. So that was ingrained in me to make sure that we have something that can catch all the soil. And that's lovely. So that's a bit of I'm sure everyone's thinking like this, but you want to have a bit of an assembly line mentality. So it's very linear, the work. So fill the trays, slide them down. Then someone can be standing here. If we have to dibble them for paper pot, we don't yet use a dibbler, big investment. So the piano fingers come out. And we dibble the trays. Or if you're using the 128s or 72s, you use another tray, pack them down, pass them along, seed here. And if we have multiple people seeding, especially if we're doing flowers, people will sit here and seed flowers because seeding flowers you want to sit, I think, because they're like pretty slow.
Again, like guides here. So you guys doing microgreens also?
Yeah, very, 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 very small amount. Like, but just enough for markets and the odd chef. So we're doing like 8 to 10 trays per week. And then if we ever have like a week where we're short on, we haven't had to do it yet this year, but if we're short a product for CSA, Bryn will just let Rachel know, let's do X amount of extra trays for next week.
That's a good way to be flexible.
Totally. That's just like, if you're short a product, it's a nice way. And people love microgreens, so it's an easy one to just throw in.
I'm extremely excited when I see some in my CSA box. I'm like,
yeah,
it's the best.
Little extra spice.
Yeah.
And I think I'm a good example of like a good time to say, like, it doesn't have to be perfect. I think that would be my like to new farmers or people aspiring. Like you can see we're doing well. We have a good farm, but this isn't the most beautiful nursery I'm sure you've ever seen.
Well, it's really not that bad.
Okay, but you know what I mean? I hope that's encouraging to people starting out. Like our tables are just wood on cinder blocks.
But I mean,
but you look at other people
in that. I mean,
it's just a minor investment, and one day we might get those beautiful rolling tables that are made of metal and whatever. But you can get by with these options.
Of course.
And this has been 10 years, like almost 10 years that we've been doing this. Furnace, let's talk. So this is Orisha as well. Like our greenhouses are fully automated thanks to that. So we have the automatic roll-up sides, which work along with the furnace. So this is our primary one. And then, as I mentioned, this is the outdoor wood boiler radiant heater. So this is enough to heat the whole greenhouse. This is only enough to act really as a backup for the when we have the nursery wall up.
Yep.
I don't know if there's like too many details to talk about there, but yeah. So this communicates with the sensor and can get the idea of the environment that's in the greenhouse, so we can check it from the app on our phone and also put in the settings of like our ideal max, our ideal minimum, to tell the furnace when to kick on, the roll-up sides when to roll up. And then they'll also, like, what's nice about Orisha is that on the back end they've got things programmed in there that you don't really have to think about so much.
Yep.
Like the dehumidification program is very sort of intuitive, so it will roll up the sides and kick the furnace on, things like that, to sort of attempt to control the humidity. That's really good. So this has saved us a lot of energy. We were used to be like manually rolling up the sides, and just that alone is crazy. And the peace of mind that being able to leave the farm when we want, things like that.
I mean, and people, like, how do you feel about the initial investment?
Yeah, that's
because a lot of people are like, oh, automation, that's expensive.
Okay, but even if you just don't even have a furnace, like that's mainly the more expensive thing. If you just want the freedom of automatic roll-up sides, I agree. I found it so intimidating. Even the thought of putting them, like hooking them up.
Yeah.
The joke, they laugh at me at Orisha. It's a joke amongst like myself and them, because I bought the system, had the automation, and it was one of those projects that I just kind of like, I just was almost too intimidated to like, I was like, this is gonna take like a week, like I don't have the time. And it took me a morning. Like I finally pulled them out. I'm like, okay, like I got it. Like I can do this.
I cleared off my week.
Yeah.
I'm good.
And then I just like took off the heads, like boop, boop, a little hammering, little like the electrical was very easy, and they're hooked up in the morning. I was like,
okay, that's crazy.
Yeah. So I think that automation can be really scary and intimidating, but I do think the fact that they have a company, you're not buying a controller from a third party off of a website or from someone, you're buying directly from them.
Yep.
And with that product comes their customer care. Like, and
they are tight on it.
They are.
Like you call them, they're really responsive, really helpful.
When we set up the automation in the greenhouse with the valves, it was a little more complicated, and we're literally on a FaceTime with Fred. Incredible. The whole team there is great.
No, they're good. So, tomatoes.
This is, both of our greenhouses are filled with tomatoes.
Yeah.
Because we just can't seem to have enough. Like in the past years, we were just getting enough to supply our chefs. And then you kind of don't feel the best if your CSA isn't getting tomatoes and they're going only to certain outlets. So this year was a huge goal to make sure we could meet all of our demands, markets, CSA, and chefs. and we've been doing that.
And like you said, you never get enough.
I don't feel like you can. So they're doing pretty good. This greenhouse, like, I mean, they've been in here since the end of April.
Yeah.
Early, these ones were, yeah, like late April. And then the other greenhouse is like mid-April, so pretty decent. We're gonna give up on the weeds at this point. We'll deal with that in the fall here. But like I say,
little cukes.
yeah, this was a little last-ditch effort for some fall cukes. These were supposed to go into our greenhouse too.
Yeah.
But we had a bit of a spider mite issue, so we couldn't put something back in where we would just be sending them to issue. So they ended up staying in their pots a little longer than we would have liked. So we're trying to kind of just stay on top of, like, these should all be harvested sooner to sort of get them more vegetative than generative. Like, we want to kind of steer them back that way. So really we're going to just be hard picking to see if we can get them back. Even to just have a couple nice picks off of this in the next few, like end of August, early September would be great.
Of course. But I mean, the tomatoes.
Yeah, they're not bad, eh? Like,
honestly.
Yeah, this is Bay Orange. I like this. It's our first year growing it. We actually had a disaster this year. I didn't know if I wanted to get into it, but the radiant, like, it was a twofold. The radiant heater, the pump in our outdoor furnace over the winter had broken, but only the pump that was coming out here. So the radiant heater normally would be having hot water always going through it. Even though it's turned off, it's supposed to just run through, like the blower's not blowing anywhere, but just to keep everything alive. But a whole comedy of errors. The pump on the furnace broke down. The radiant heater snapped because it froze. So I didn't know that. I thought our outdoor backup furnace was fine. And then just like an electrical issue, Orisha went off that night, and it was
perfect storm.
Perfect storm. Luckily, it was only 200 tomato plants, because actually it was the worst year ever for grafting for us. So out of 700 plants, we were down to like 200. And then that was just like the final straw.
So lucky in your bad luck.
Terrible luck. Yeah, but no, there was no, yeah, exactly. The silver lining was that, we only lost 200, because normally I would have been crying harder.
Yeah. So you just cried a little.
Just a little crying. And it put us out of our misery on our own tomatoes. So we ended up losing all of our grafted tomatoes. God. But we reached out to Ferme Terramor.
Yeah.
And then also Ferme Agricola, and we were able to like use like that sense of community, and they like had our backs, which is so amazing.
And I mean, a lot of, like, most of the farmer, they just buy it.
They do?
Yeah, a lot of farmer, they just buy the grafting.
Well, like,
it's expensive, but
I almost want, theirs were really good. Like we work really hard to get them to be decent. And we do pretty good most years. But it was really nice. It was a big expense to have to pay it twice, but here we are, and I'm happy. And also in the past, like, I feel like it's good for them too, because in the past I've been sitting there with, like, after we plant our greenhouses, I'm like, because you have to plant like 20-30% extra to account for loss.
Yeah. If
you have a good year, and then you end up with 100 extra grafts. It's sad to see them, like, you're like, can someone please, who do we? Yeah.
Well,
so I feel like it's kind of mutually beneficial. We did purchase them from them, so.
And what's the amount of work you put in the greenhouses in a week?
So we trellis and prune on Mondays, like every Monday, and it's normally the full morning for 4 people, unless it's like a doozy. So what's that, 16 hours of labor a week?
Yep.
And we track, that's one thing, like, I don't track everything. I actually don't track a lot, because you can mostly do the calculations just like in an instant, like by taking like a 10-foot sample, or you know what I mean, or a 50-foot sample.
Yep.
Like, you can kind of get sample projections of most things. But tomatoes is one that I actually, starting last year, I actually track every harvest and the labor. So when they harvest, they track the weight that they harvested, how many people did it and how long it took. And then at the end of the year, I put that into the computer with like all of the seed costs, the propane cost, to try to I had to figure out if tomatoes were even worth it, right? Like, I know everyone's doing it and people have long figured out that it's worth it.
But you need to prove.
I needed to see it because, and especially what if I'm not doing something well too, right? Like, what if we're not making it, maybe we need to do something better to make sure our yields are hitting those targets or whatnot. So.
Well, that's a good method.
Yeah.
Like,
Cool,
I see.
the crew's killing it.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
So,
Like, that's great. Yeah.
do you want to
like,
talk a little bit about the crew? Because I feel like it's a big part of your success.
Absolutely.
Here at Terramor, I feel like the crew is just like,
They're on it.
there's like
You guys have seen it.
chemistry. Like this morning, we were like, oh wow.
I love this, like working with the soil and being outside and in the sun, and then here specifically also the people are really great. So
It's just so much fun. I love being outside and I love like fitness, so it's like I get to work out at the same time, and I made so many amazing friends. And Haya is my best friend like of 12 years, so we both got to come here together and we spend like so much time together now, and like it's like a family, and I know like these people will be like my best friends for the rest of my life.
So many things I enjoy doing here, whether it's prepping beds and weeding, which is, you know, a relatively messy thing, to, you know, seeing the harvest and taking that in. Honestly, I enjoy all of it.
First job I've ever had is a great chance and opportunity that Luke let me work here, and I'm so thankful.
I love being outside. I love the crew. Like, it's just so much fun, and I love feeling like tired after work, and I don't like have to worry about getting my physical activity in. So it's just like a really nice lifestyle I like.
I love the point where we've put in, like, we've like had a really like intense grind morning. You know, it's 45 degrees like last week, and we were sweating. We were literally soaked. And then it's that like, okay, it's lunchtime. We all hop in the minivan and we all go down to the beach and just run into the water, and you're instantly refreshed and cool, and you're like, yeah, I could go back and do that again.
Today was amazing. We started off a little skeptical because we had 16 beds to prep and plant, and then to just like crush it and get to see all these check marks at the end of the day. That's what we do it all for. That's it. That's the best. And I'm so thankful to the crew. They killed it today. And they know it. You know it. You know it.
What's the secret?
Well, I don't know. I can't take the credit for it because it's like, but I guess you can at the same time, because like building a good team is difficult, but I'm super thankful. This is the first year we have a committed manager and an assistant manager. Last year I had 4 people in leadership roles. And while that was amazing, I think having someone to just, that is the figurehead that I communicate directly with, and then things go from there, has been an amazing step. I'm really thankful for Bryn and the assistant manager as well, Cal. Like, they're running a phenomenal farm, and it just gives me space to actually work on the business. Like, I know they say that a lot in business. The motto is like work on the business, not in the business. And this is the first year that I've been able to like feel like I'm fully doing that role. Because last year I feel like I was doing Bryn's role and that role.
Yeah, but you feel confident, like, to do it.
Yeah.
Because you have a good team. You're like,
absolutely.
Oh, yes, I can let it go.
It's happening, and it's the best feeling ever.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's cool.
And like, how do you like train them? Because I feel that there's a big part of it is training.
Yeah, so last year was a totally blank slate. Like, it was a full turnover, which has never happened to us here before. So this is so that core 4, we called it last year, those 4 leadership roles were green, fully green, no farming experience last year. So
I mean, that's
in a way that was very hard, but in a way it really got us to like get to know each other. And my management style is very much receptive to feedback. Yeah. Like, I think that that's a good thing to help people feel comfortable to contribute. Yeah. But so a lot of these systems have been implemented and developed like with the team. Like Bryn offers a lot, and our prior staff before even then helped to develop. So I hope that sort of answers the question.
Yeah, it does. But I was also wondering, did you have like staff at year 1?
One staff. So like the year one was actually just mostly me and Dana with someone part-time who was raised on a farm, and she was just an excellent, really hard worker, and that was amazing. And then we also had a vol and trade program, what we called it. So a lot of friends of ours, like, because we were doing something new and we were like, I'd say we're still young, but we were much younger back then, and we were leaving the restaurant scene, so a lot of our friends were really interested in what we're doing, and like leaving the city to come to the farm for the day had some like allure and was exciting.
I mean, that's really important at the beginning, especially.
So we kind of utilized that in the way that we would have big lunches, and like there was always one day a week where our friends would come out, we'd have big lunches.
by the belly.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's come work a day.
Send them home with a big bag of veggies, and we'd get a lot done. But that, I do encourage new farmers to, like, if you can't afford staff, to just get used to that, like having people work with you, because it encourages you to have accountability and learn how to manage people.
You need to learn that.
It's crazy, like just the moments of like standing there being like, I don't know what we should be doing, and you've got 8 people standing there, like if I hadn't like suffered through those first years, can you imagine where I'd be now with like when I'm paying people like 8 staff?
It's crazy.
And the cost of 8 staff per hour is wild. So you have to make sure you have everyone contributing.
Yeah. And that they don't feel always stressed, always like, oh, I'm tired of this, I want to leave.
Yeah.
Like, they need to feel happy about their job.
Yeah,
and,
that's
I was talking to them this morning, and they just had this big smile on the face.
We love it, man.
They were happy to be there.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's cool. It's a culture thing, but I think it's also about hiring the right people. Like, another little like quote, but like in management, you have to, every failure is yours too. Like, and every success is yours too. So, and that's kind of crappy to take on. It's a lot of a burden to take on. But if you have a staff member that's not good, then it's on you for having hired the wrong person, right?
Yeah, or like didn't show the good way to do something.
That's right. If someone did something wrong, unfortunately, it's on you. Like, it's like
you can't be pissed at the person.
No, you can't, because it's at the end of the day, you probably didn't train them right or give them clear instructions, or you hired the wrong person.
Yeah.
Like, and if you hired the wrong person, then the next step is they have to go. That can happen too.
So what's happening here?
Okay, fall planting. So we just flipped these beds. They had been under tarp for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Maybe even more, but these were some of our nastier beds from the spring. So we rebuilt them with the rotary plow just to get some soil back up, raked. And yeah, we're not being too fancy. You can see the aisles still have a bunch of debris, but we just tilled in the top, like we amended with the pelletized chicken manure, alfalfa, kelp meal, and then amended that, tilled that in so that it's workable. And this is radicchio. So we've been trying to grow good radicchio for many years now, to no luck. So I don't know if I tried planting it a little bit earlier this year. It could be the varieties. We'll see though. I'm always trying to grow those like hard ones that are like
do you have a hard time selling them?
No, I know the chefs would take them if we could grow them. Yeah.
Because you work with a lot of restaurants.
Yes. Yeah, I know they would. So we tried to grow that beautiful pink one, but it's really hard to grow. So we tried some more like simple, like more for this region ones. So we'll see.
I see dahlias there. I mean,
do you want to get into the tunnel? Yeah. So we use the paper pot system. So these are all, we call this the Quattro crew.
Yep.
Kohlrabi and fennel share a bed. We used to do a bed each of those, but they aren't huge sellers. So every year you're kind of adjusting your crop plan. So they share a bed. Then we have some gem lettuce, bok choy, and scallions. So those all have somewhat similar days to maturity.
Yep.
So they share a 4-bed plot. And just to make things simple on our brains, I try to do everything in 4-bed sections. So I always like to group things like that together. Let's poke our heads into the dahlias. This is looking really good. Last year, our cat tunnel with the dahlias did not look so good. So this feels really nice. Louise has been on top of the weeding in here. And we'd still like them a little earlier. We're gonna experiment with transplanting next year, at least a portion, and then do the tubers directly in here. And But this is an incredible flower for, like, you know, for bouquets, and we have some weddings coming up. We do weddings as well. We're just sort of dipping our toes in that. But flowers has been an amazing addition to our market offerings. You kind of hit a bit of a glass ceiling at a market with vegetables, because someone comes and gets their bunch of carrots, their salad. They've hit their peak of like what they're going to average sale, but then 1 in 10 grabs a bouquet, and that doubles that, because it's a single item that's worth $20 or $25.
No, it's crazy.
But good luck trying to sell that same person like 5 bunches of carrots or or more vegetables.
And again, like flowers, it's a luxury product.
Yeah.
Like people, they're used to pay more for that, and they're willing to do it like easily.
Yes.
Like carrots, sometimes people are like, the carrots are really good carrots.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the difference? Why would I pay like a lot more for it?
Yeah.
Well, they should, but that's not it.
Yeah, no. Okay. So a similar system to the wash station, like these 2 tanks are on a float valve. They're connected so that we have access to 2,000 liters here. And this actually fills from the pond. So that's why we had to automate the main switch, because we had to eliminate like the opportunity for error, because we want to automate the greenhouses. We run both off of this system to automate the greenhouse irrigation, but we can't have these empty, we can't have them drain. So we still do need the field pump to turn on X amount of times per day, but this can now run separately. Like, it's not, these greenhouses are not being irrigated by the main pump switch. It can be on a separate schedule, which is really clutch. And then we just have to have it on the main pump on several times a day, just to at least fill these as a baseline. But it kind of gave us a cheat code to be able to irrigate the 2 differently.
That's really smart.
And yeah, it's all thanks to Orisha and Dubois. Oh yeah, and another SOP, David. He loves the SOPs.
I just like this.
Thank you, man.
Because I forget everything, so I would be like, well, I'm harvesting tomatoes. Like, like, that's so easy.
It's great.
Everybody can do it.
This is where we had wanted to put the second planting of cucumbers, but we had spider mites. So initially our plan was to literally flip the old cucumbers out, amend, and put the second planting in, because they were 30 days old, ready to rock.
Yep.
But our spider mites had actually moved from the cucumbers over to the tomatoes, so we hadn't really eradicated them when we got the cucumbers out of here. And fortunately we had to put in an order with Coppert, which is a beneficial insect company, amazing for anything. If you have pest problems, worth talking to their sales, because they have all kinds of solutions and they're really good as well. So fortunately we had asked about preventative measures for our cat tunnels, for our peppers and eggplants, and preemptively ordered some spider mites. Sorry, predatory mites.
Yeah.
But so they arrived the day we realized we had this problem. It was one of those like really serendipitous things. So we stripped the plants that were affected, and then there were 2 types. This one is for preventative, so we put a barrier around the spider mites. Then where we had the spider mites, stripped them right down. We sprayed with insecticidal soap, and then put on the red ones, which are for actual affected plants. So these guys. And it worked. Like, if you look, these were all yellow, terrible, and then now they're good.
Wow.
So, and when I spoke to the sales rep, she said, like, this has to be dealt with. It's peak season, it's the heat. Like, they can spread so quick, they could be in the entire greenhouse within a week, or maybe, I don't know if that was an exaggeration. So the fact that we actually managed to get them out of here is pretty impressive. And it doesn't help us now with the cucumber situation, but it's nice that the tomatoes, we don't have to worry as much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Again, lucky in your bad luck.
Yeah, you can always you gotta find a silver lining, especially in this line of work.
Like, this view is crazy.
Yeah, it's nice.
And we want to see the salads.
Oh, we gotta show the salad.
Like, the salads, it's like, wow.
That's the big victory this year.
Yeah, it's like crazy. So
But
I
the
mean,
salad, look at the salad.
like fancy clean.
Yeah, it was a definite goal of ours to have healthy salad in the midsummer, and that was like these were planted in one of the hottest weeks, like a couple weeks ago. So we're just irrigating regularly, and the nursery, like extra care for them in the nursery. Shout out to Ray.
Like it feels like we're in a lab right now.
Ah,
like
thank
no,
you.
seriously.
Yeah,
Look
yeah.
at this.
Yeah.
Like guys, this is special. Like, you don't see that often.
Thank you. And it's been a major goal of ours, like to have salad consistently for all of our markets throughout the season since we started farming. And we actually have never, like I've always had to take it off the chef list around now.
Yeah.
Whether it be like a failed planting or one year we get more sales, but this year we like accounted for more sales. I mean, it's one of those small victories that we're very proud of, is like, this is the next planting, the timing's right, and we almost had 1 week where we were like, oh no, we might have to take it off the chef list, and we didn't, and
wow.
Yeah. So.
Good job, guys.
Yeah.
Kale looking
And
good.
let's show the contrast. Look, so that people can see the real farm too. Show the nasty. Look. I think that's important because people, look, you look to this side.
They almost like some farmer, they almost
look to this side.
I still say wow.
Okay, but yeah, it's nice to see the raw, like this is okay. We look at it like it's one big thing, right? There's no, like, it's not perfect everywhere, but you gotta celebrate this way more than you let this affect you. We're just gonna mow and tarp that. We've tried to do that before you guys got here, but didn't get that done.
This is prettier than tarp.
In your, yeah, fair.
Definitely prettier than
Yeah, of
tarp's
course.
Not pretty.
Okay, I love that.
Effective, but they're not pretty.
I love that. That's a very good point. Tarps aren't pretty. For me, they're pretty because I just see.
You know what's happening under
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Kill. You're doing amazing. Yes. Look how good these beds look. Good point. Well,
It does look
we all think it looks great, but I mean, we don't see the hard work you're putting in. I mean, we do now. Great work, honestly.
Luke, thank you for this amazing farm tour.
Yeah,
I mean, all the tips, all the knowledge you just share with us.
Yeah.
I feel like people are gonna be really grateful.
Awesome.
And man, in eight season,
yeah.
like that's just amazing what you build here.
Oh, really? Thank you.
And like everything was amazing.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Let's go.